Hi, welcome back to continuing the conversation with Sadie, the space where we slow down, look beneath the surface, and explore the systems, structures, and human stories that shape care, leadership, and the way we live and work. In Series 3, we're looking closely at leadership and systems, not in the abstract, but in the real world. The world where decisions ripple through teams, services, families, and communities. The world where targets, reforms, and management theories collide with human need. Today, I'm joined by someone who has spent decades challenging the very foundations of how organisations, especially public services, are designed and run. John Seddon is a British occupational psychologist, author, and the founder of Vanguard, a consultancy established in 1985 that has reshaped thinking around organisational design. He is known for his critique of command and control management, target-driven cultures, and the obsession with economic uh, with economies of scale. Instead, he advocates for economies of flow, designing systems that work with people, not against them. John has written 7 books, including Systems Thinking in the Public Sector, The Whitehall Effect, and Beyond Command and Control. His work has influenced leaders across government, health, social care, and beyond. He is also a visiting professor at Buckingham University Business School. John, welcome. I'm really glad you're here with us today.
Thank you, Sophie. It's
Hi.
good to be here. How do you do?
Hi. We're going to start with section 1 is all about origins, systems, thinking, and challenging orthodoxy.
Okay.
So I just wanted to start with my first question, which was you've spent your career challenging mainstream management thinking, from targets to inspection regimes to economies of scale.
Yeah.
What first drew you into systems thinking and what made you realise the dominant models weren't working?
Well, I got lucky, is the truth. I'm an occupational psychologist, as you said, and I was asked by Honeywell Bull to do a little bit of research on why their total quality management program had failed. And I knew
Right.
nothing about quality or total quality management. And so I had to blag my way in and read the book. And the book that absolutely blew me away as I was doing this work was Deming's book, Out of the Crisis. It's a scathing critique of Western management thought. I mean, Deming, he points out the obvious truth that humankind invented management, so we can change it. And he was
Yeah.
also very critical of current management. And as I was
Hmm.
studying, if you're going to study, well, why does the TQM program fail? You need to understand how an organization works. And as I got managers to talk about that kind of thing, I saw them talking about what they did, and I saw so many connections with what Deming said was absolutely the wrong thing to do, and why. So that's how I got started. He's the
Yeah.
man who's responsible for the so-called Japanese miracle, which had an enormous impact. I mean, Japanese manufacturers went from low quality, low cost goods to very high quality, high margin goods. In the
Mm.
1950s, their economy grew at 9% every year. I mean, this is
God.
really big news. You
Yeah.
wonder why politicians aren't aware of this. But anyway, and I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it in service organizations. And that's
Mm.
what started.
Fantastic. I love that. And was there a particular moment where you realised dominant models weren't working other than just reading the book? Was there a moment in time?
No, well, that was. I mean, being given permission to criticize what I was looking at.
Right.
People measuring activity and treating activity as cost, and
Yeah.
specializing work and standardizing work, and moving telephone calls to call centers because it's cheaper. And then, more recently, same, logic with digital services, current logic with AI. AI is going to improve productivity. This is all a command and control logic.
Got
It's
you.
complete
Got you.
bullshit,
Thank you.
but
Yeah.
people love it.
We'll
Yeah.
edit that bit out. Thank you for the greater depth in your answer because that really helped me understand anyway. So thank you.
Yeah.
Um, your critiques are bold, unapologetic, and often ahead of their time.
Mm.
Was there a moment or a particular case that crystallized your belief that command and control was fundamentally flawed?
Well, it's funny actually, because I was talking with somebody about this last week, and it was one of the very first jobs I did. Um, I was working with a little outfit in Honeywell Bull called Distribution. I went to help them, and all they did was basically take orders from salesmen and find the materials and send the materials to the customer. That's all they did. But the people who had that job were totally miserable. And what I learned is that they were completely incapable of doing what needed to happen for customers, and managers had to make all the decisions, and the managers, would take work away. It was just so demoralising. So we ran an experiment. I actually worked with the leader of that organisation through about another 6 organisations. It was so successful. We
Oh,
basically
wow.
took the view that we have to equip the front line with the expertise, solve problems, and do the job. Um,
Mhm.
and we spent, as you would, you go to a hotel and you start talking about what we've seen and what we learned and what the data says, and all the problems. This
Yeah.
is what we're going to do. And then he went. That was Friday afternoon. We finished, and then he went in on a Monday morning. Yeah, you know what he did? And this guy taught me a lot. He locked all their offices, the managers' offices, and they
Mm.
came into work and they couldn't get in. And he said, "Well, what did we agree on Friday? We said we're going to go out there in front of the line and we're going to work on giving them the expertise to solve all the problems that we've got. That's
Yeah.
what we're going to do." I mean, you
Yeah.
know, physical interventions are very powerful.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, I'm going to help." And he said, "No, I don't need any help. I know what to do." I was, being a young consultant, you think, "Oh gosh, I could have earned some more money helping them." No, no. But 3 months later, I got a video sent to my home, and all those people in the front line were on that video. The people I knew originally were miserable, unhappy,
Yeah.
didn't like it, and they were buzzing. They
Yeah.
were. I cried. I've been very lucky. I've had moments like that throughout my career of seeing just how powerful it is to change the way you think about the way you design and control the system.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of that is autonomy, isn't it? People
Yes,
feeling like they're in a position to do that, um,
exactly.
and feeling safe.
Yeah,
Um, Vanguard has been operating since 1985,
yeah,
shaping thinking across sectors.
yeah.
How has your understanding of systems evolved over the decades, especially as public services have become more complex?
No, they haven't become more complex. There's a lot of people. I'm a systems thinker now, and a lot of systems thinkers will talk about service organizations as though they're complex systems, and I
Hmm.
fundamentally disagree.
Okay.
Climate change is a complex system.
Yeah.
Uh, Organizations are designed by human beings, and human beings don't have the capacity to design a complex system. Service organizations are, on the other hand, unnecessarily complicated systems. And
Yes,
that's
I
what we do.
agree.
We make them
Yeah, it's
so.
been made complicated.
You got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that.
When
Yeah.
you look at care from an outside-in point of view, it's pretty
Mm.
straightforward.
Yes, it is.
And
Yeah.
you look at
But
the
you
way
can
that
get
our current systems deal with people who put their hand up, and you think, "Why do we complicate it in this way?"
yeah, I agree. And I think again it comes back to understanding people, doesn't it? Not systems.
Yeah. Well, we need a
Definitely.
system that looks outside in instead of a
Yeah.
system that's managed top down.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a lot of what we talk about in the podcast. It's
Ah,
managing from the ground up, and that's how I run my business as well. So it runs on a very solid foundation. It has quite a successful business model. So
yeah.
yeah, I'd 100% understand that. Thank you. Um, you've been described as a reluctant management guru. How do you see your role in the wider conversation about organizational change?
Well, it was Philip Johnson he was writing in those days for the Telegraph, I think. He interviewed me, and he described me as a reluctant management guru. And I think it's because I was saying to him, "Look, I'm not the important person. The important people are the leaders who make the changes in their organizations." You know, I it's the I'll give you an example of this. I worked with a guy who was the first guy in local authorities to learn how to deliver housing repairs to tenants on the day and at a time a tenant wants it. And in doing so, he saved 8 million in the first year, and that won a prize from McKinsey and Harvard Business Review. And
Right.
that meant going to New York to receive the prize, and the prize was aimed at me because it was my technology. I just thought, well, that's wrong. I've got to take the guy who did it because although I teach people how to do it, he should get the prize because he did. Um,
Yeah,
so Philip
he did
called
the
me
work.
reluctant.
Some may say modest.
Well, it's real though, isn't it?
It is real.
The measure of my success is not me. It's the number of people around the world who get something and then don't go back.
Yeah,
You can't go back
yeah.
when you see it.
But it's important. That's why we're here today to talk about this so people understand, because otherwise we
Yeah.
don't know. And it's coming
Yeah.
directly from you and you're being very real. So there we go. Everybody, this is from John himself today.
Yes.
Section 2, we're going
Yeah.
to go into targets, flow, and the human impact of bad systems.
Mm.
So we've long argued that targets, KPIs, oh, I hate them, and inspection regimes don't improve services,
Yeah.
they distort them.
Yeah.
What do you wish leaders understood about the unintended consequences of target driven cultures?
Well, it's very simple. I learned this from Deming. A target is an arbitrary measure with no method.
Mm.
What matters is method.
Yeah,
And indeed, then beyond that, the measures that you should be using in your organization should relate to the purpose of the organization from the recipient's customer's point of view.
yes,
So
yeah,
we're talking about care services here. We
we
really have
are.
to understand how to measure what a good life looks like to someone in their terms,
Yes, it
and
has
then
to be
use that
client
as a
led.
primary measure for understanding and improving what we're doing with that person.
Yeah,
The whole business of meet your target for how quickly you assess somebody will only increase the number of assessments and referrals. I mean,
yes,
I think referral is the most often used word in the health and care
yeah,
system. There's so
yeah,
much referral going on. There's very little help. And
yes,
this goes back to, where should your focus be as a manager? The purpose. What's the big lever? Understanding demand.
yes,
What you learn, and this is the most striking thing, I think, what you
mm,
learn when you study demand into care services is that it is stable.
yes.
People will
Well,
tell
we're
you
an
that,
ever growing population and we're
yeah,
living longer. So, of course, there's always
well,
going to be work there.
there's always going to be work, but the politicians will tell you that because we're living longer, demand is growing, and then they argue about who's going to pay for it. No, they
Mm,
think demand is growing because they're measuring transactions in their factory model. All right, and a
right.
lot of those transactions are the same bloody people turning up again because we haven't helped them. So it's what I call failure demand. Okay, and they use epidemiological data. That's a projection. When we help
Yes.
people study demand into their care services, we're interested in
Mm,
how many people put their hand up in this period for help. And we're talking
yeah.
about new independent people. And the answer is, when you look at it that way, it's stable. Now, if the politicians
Mm,
knew that, they might open their minds to thinking about it differently.
mm,
Because you see,
yeah.
if the demand is stable, but the volume of transactions is growing, it teaches you that you're not being very effective in helping these people. So if we can
Yes.
improve our effectiveness in helping these people, demand will fall. or the number of transactions will fall, and people will get better help. As a consequence of that, demand for help will fall because they become more
Mm.
independent. If
Yes.
politicians understood that, it would go a long way.
Yeah, definitely. You talk about economies of flow rather than
Yeah,
economies of scale.
yeah.
For people who are new to that idea, including myself, what does it mean and why does it matter so much?
Well, economy of scale is all about
Hmm.
cost management thinking. This was
Right.
introduced into the care system by Tony Blair's government.
Oh
You
God.
know, let's
Okay.
let's have the computers that are going to have assessments done and care packages
Mm.
designed, and then people people sent out to fulfill package requirements. So that's like the industrial, that's the scale model. Um,
Yes.
and it means from a recipient's point of view, care recipient could be, they're going to get a bath so many times a week. Well, they could get different people doing that. That's not what they want. And
Yeah.
you can have ridiculous situations like there's somebody in the house
Yeah.
doing job A, and someone else comes in to do job B because it's on
Yeah.
the, and they've got all these boxes and they're trying to get people
Yeah.
out to do things. That's
You're very,
that's
very right
that's
about
that's
that.
factory scale thinking.
Yes.
Now, now I think you and I know that care needs to be thermostatic.
Hmm.
In other words, we know what this person's capable of. We know they're going to need help, but on days they'll need more or less help. So we need to be thermostatic about that. So
Yeah.
we've got to work on what matters to them. So,
Yeah.
excuse me, if you can cut this out later. But I went to speak at a conference and someone gave me a bug.
Oh
Anyway,
no.
yeah. So
You're doing
flow,
great though.
flow is all about understanding demand. What matters to that person constitutes the value work. Let's organize ourselves to do that and only that.
Yeah.
Okay. And if we do that, we're more effective and the costs fall naturally.
Yeah. So for flow, we need to be flexible, basically. We can't be rigid and
Yeah,
stuck
you
to
need,
a certain way of doing things
yeah,
because a computer tells us to.
that's exactly right. I'm sorry about my cough.
That's okay. Are you all right? Do you need a glass of water?
I'll get these little attacks and it'll go away in a minute.
Oh, you're doing great though. So
Oh,
we
cool.
can take this bit out, don't worry.
All right.
So when it comes to economies of scale, are we talking about the size of what we're seeing? The demand thing, even though it's steady.
No, say that again. We talk about size, did you say?
When we talk about economies of scale,
Yeah.
are we talking about the size of what we're seeing?
No, no, no. Economies of scale refers to the assumptions behind the design of the service organization. So that we're talking about factories. We're talking about call
With
centers.
the industrial
Yeah,
methods. Yes.
industrialization, call centers, back offices, specialization of work,
Yeah.
standardization of work. We know in care services, standardization is a shocking thing.
Yes.
Commissioners go and buy 400 seats on some kind of program to help people in a certain way. And of course, if you're going to go to the market, you've got to specify it, standardize it to get a price for it. And then you give it to
Right.
people who match the variety of needs in the people. So we waste all that money.
Yeah. I hear you. Thank you. Many of our listeners work in care, health, or community services where people, not processes, are at the centre. What happens to human-centered work when systems are designed around efficiency rather than purpose?
Well, people get demoralized, people leave,
Hmm.
uh, people cheat. Social workers will up the problems in order to get past a committee to get some funding to someone get some help.
Yep.
Um, uh, Some people, when it's the regulator involved, as you've seen, some people even commit suicide. It's miserable working in
Yeah.
those environments.
And do you think also that would eff eventually attract the wrong people into the profession?
But could do, yeah.
Yeah, which again affects everything else. Okay, no, that's to the point, which is what it follows on from everything you've been saying, so that's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Okay.
You've seen the emotional and operational fallout of poorly designed systems.
Yeah.
What patterns do you see in how frontline workers cope or struggle when the system itself is working against them? So this is to understand what it's like for the people actually in it.
Well, they find it frustrating.
Hmm.
But it's like we were saying earlier, they cheat. You
Yeah.
see situations at the moment where, the help that someone needs is to take the bin out, but they can't take the bin out because that's not allowed according to the specification of what they've got to do in their care plan. Um, yeah,
Yeah. So we're looking at oppression.
yeah. They're taking away. Most people get into care because they have a vocation. They're taken
That's
away
it.
from it.
Yeah. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Yeah. So these people who are going into care, myself included, we go in because we're passionate about what we do and we
Yeah,
want to help people.
yeah,
So surely after all that time of being in a system that is so rigid like it is, they would just lose that spark.
yeah.
They could even become apathetic. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, but, this is why I wrote The Whitehall Effect. This is the Whitehall effect, The problem that we've got here, is and it's right across the public sector, is that what we're doing with public services is telling the public servants by Whitehall what you gotta do, and in detail.
Mm,
What a stupid idea that is.
yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. Thank you. We're going to go on to reform, leadership, and a better way forward now, because I think we've covered that really well about what's going on
Right.
and how it affects people. So I wanted to start with your books.
Wow.
Okay, John, are you feeling better now?
Yeah,
You've had a bit of a struggle there, bless you. Um, your books, from systems thinking in the public sector to the Whitehall effect, challenge government reform at its core. If you could redesign one aspect of public sector reform tomorrow,
yeah,
where would you start?
easy. I'd change the method of regulation.
Brilliant. I love that. Yeah.
The current method of regulation has Whitehall as the locus of control. We need the
Hmm.
people who run the services to have the locus of control. Politicians should stop specifying what I call methods and measures. Okay,
Yes.
they should specify purpose. That's their
Yes.
job. That's why we want
Yes.
politicians. And then the people who deliver the services should have a regulator who turns up and says, "Well, look, this is what the politicians say. The purpose of social care is. What methods and measures are you employing to
Yeah.
achieve that, and how are you doing?" And then
Yeah.
we would have a regulatory system that puts a value on knowledge. Whereas at the moment, the regulatory system puts value on compliance.
Yeah. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Well,
Okay.
I thought so too.
You're so to the point.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I've experienced myself in different ways from the ground
yeah,
up.
yeah, I bet, yeah.
I can completely understand what you're saying, and I've actually lived it myself. I have actually been in
Mm.
a position where I've
I'm
been
writing a
quite
book about
down.
that at the moment. Um,
I'm very I managed to create a small business now that works really well, and I'm the happiest
cool.
I've ever been, but it took a long time to work it out and get out and actually apply a lot of what you've said. So I know it
That's true.
works.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, you've worked with leaders
yeah,
across sectors who are trying to shift from command and control to systems thinking.
yeah.
What distinguishes the leaders who succeed from those who stay stuck?
Well, anybody, I mean, the methodology that I employ, and this is important, I'm a psychologist. is I don't tell them. If you tell them, you piss them off.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you tell them targets will make your performance worse, it'll piss them off. I
Yeah.
make them study,
Yeah.
and if they haven't got the time to study, I won't help. Well, these days I don't help anyway. I'm retired, but I've still got people to do this.
Well, you're
And my
helping us
people,
today.
yeah, my people won't start work with the leaders without the leaders coming out to study the system. Okay, and when you study
Mhm.
the system, using the method I've developed, it gets you to look at it as a system, and in doing that, you learn some strong counterintuitive truths. You know, you learn the things that I would say to you, but now you've learnt them for yourself. I don't need to say them to you. You know, you've learnt that targets are making performance worse. We've learnt that standardization drives your costs up. You learn that managing costs creates cost. You know, I haven't had
Mm.
to argue that with you. You've seen it for yourself, and
Yeah.
because you've taken a systems view, you cannot give that up. You know, so
So,
anybody that studies and then goes through to redesign never goes back. Never goes back. You can't.
yeah, I can totally understand that one. Yeah, it's too true because you know it works. You
Yeah.
found the fog has lifted, as I say.
Well, that's right.
You
You
can
know,
see
when
things clearly.
that's right. When I used to work with leaders, you know, one of the things I always look for as they were going through this process is when they would start talking about, look, I've got a situation, and I used to do this. Now I see the need to do this. It's quite different. And I feel I have tension between those 2, and then I know they're getting it.
Mm. Yeah, 100%. There's a growing appetite for change,
Yeah.
especially in health and social care, but there is also a lot of fear.
Yeah.
What would you say to leaders who know the current system isn't working but feel overwhelmed by the scale of change? Now, this is an important one.
Overwhelmed by the scale of change. Well,
Change, yeah.
it depends what they
Well,
think the change is. You
it,
see, I don't think they should be overwhelmed at all, because if you go out and study, you're gonna get knowledge, and you're making change on the basis of knowledge and therefore informed choice. And you see opportunities that you never thought of before.
Mhm.
So and when you know, when you said at the start, there's a lot of, um, what did you start with? There's your first sentence is a lot of people
There's a
are
growing appetite for change,
and
as you know.
I don't think there is a growing appetite for change. Um, you know, I mean, I'll
Well, a
be
lot of
honest with
people are
you.
they're
Well, I
coming
think
in and they want to change things up and they want to
oh, they want to
put
change.
their
Oh,
oar in.
maybe, yeah. I mean, but if I think about the leaders currently in local authorities responsible for care services, I don't see a huge appetite for change. I see an appetite for uh, um, keeping your head down and conforming. Frankly, um, you know, because
We're gonna,
they're not bad people. It's just a bad system. It's a system that rewards compliance. You know,
yeah,
and
but
they prefer a narrative that says. People are getting older, demand is growing, who's going to pay for it? You know, that's a comfortable narrative for them. The truth is, when you study care services as systems, we're wasting about half the money. They could be, you know, because of the way we've functionalized and specialized work. All these various people who come along and look at you to see if you need help are looking at you through their own specialist lens, trying to protect their own budgets. You know,
yeah,
and so you end up giving people help that doesn't help them, and um, the consequence of that. And I've written a lot about this. We're wasting tons of money. So, I mean, there might be an appetite for change amongst people who actually deliver care, um, but they're knackered if the leaders aren't interested in making a change. I mean, there's a stronger appetite for improving things in Scandinavia, because they're
mm,
kind of a bit more grown up. Um, you know, I've seen some really good
yeah,
work in Finland. We've got work in Sweden and Denmark, doing
yes,
the same thing.
yeah, yeah. No, it's just, I suppose if leaders do feel overwhelmed, and I think when I've spoke to managers in social care, a lot of them are feeling exhausted, drained. a lot of pressure from CQC,
Yeah,
changing all the time.
yeah,
Um, I suppose what they really need to ask after talking to you is, what is the system actually doing? And
yeah.
maybe they would feel less overwhelmed once they work out what's going on, maybe?
Well, indeed, once you take a systems view, you see opportunities that you never thought were there.
Mm,
So
mm.
it kind of energizes you to act.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
there's a case that I put on my website where they're looking after old people, and when they actually studied it, they saw how ineffective they were in looking after old people. They had the same pattern of demand that I talked about earlier, a huge amount of failure
yes,
demand. So you
yeah,
go back through a few years of transactions for these people, you address the question, well, when did we ever actually understand what mattered to them? Well, we never did. We always looked at them through our own specialist lenses. Well, let's
mm.
start, let's go and meet them and find out what matters to them, start delivering services that matter to them. And then, the
Yes,
consequence of that was a 75% reduction in the cost of right across NHS services. So they're no longer using ambulances and A&E appointments and GP appointments and district nurses in the volumes they were using before.
yeah, I
Now
hear
that's an
you. Yeah,
opportunity. That should get managers excited about, "Oh,
yeah,
shit." Yeah.
yeah, 100%. Thank you.
Okay.
Looking ahead, what gives you hope that systems thinking can take root more widely, not just as a theory,
Yeah.
but as a lived practice?
Uh, what gives me hope that it would take more widely? Well, I take
Not
solace from the fact, like I said earlier, that those who've got it never go back. Um,
Yes.
and I take solace from the fact that so many people I've taught have taught others, and I keep, getting sent stories about what people have done,
Yeah.
employing these ideas. I think that's great. So,
Could you
more
give us an
widely.
example of one of the stories?
Oh, blimey, lots. Um,
Just
I mean,
elaborate on your answer, because I know it's reconfirming what you've already said, but
well,
it's,
yeah, but
you know,
well, for example,
as
there are
lived
people
practice.
there are people that are using my ideas in social care in Western Australia.
Hmm.
Um, And they've understood that the right thing to do is not to go out with a form and fill in a form, to go out and have a conversation and establish what matters to people, what a good life or a good death would look like for them, and then
Okay,
configure the
brilliant.
resources around that to
Yeah.
help them achieve what their ambitions are.
Hmm.
And they've understood that that's cheaper as well as more effective. Um, another just get out care services, right? And this one blew me away. We were in
Yeah.
South Africa, and we helped a South African company improve its uh, their business was servicing hot water and heating systems in houses. Okay. Now that in my world, that's a break fix system. This is broken. Can you fix it? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we took them from being a really shocking provider of break fix services to an amazing provider of break fix services. And that was good because they could grow that way. Their services were better and
Yeah.
less costly, and they were growing. And then we left them, and they were really happy. And about a year later, they called us up and said, we were thinking about what we learned, and we thought we could go from being a break fix to a preventative system. Because if every time we go into a property, we're concerned about making sure, as you should, you make sure the whole system's effective.
Mm.
If we bother to take a look and keep some records, we'll know what boilers are
I
there, how
see.
long they've been there, what their predictable breakdown periods are, blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
What we can do is we can aim to have only one visit per customer per year, and they never break down.
Yes. Yes.
Brilliant.
So it's thinking ahead, being preventative,
Well,
helping before it's too late, sort of
yeah.
thing.
So I introduced them how to think, and they took it to another level. That
Yeah.
that made me very happy.
Yes. Brilliant. So there is hope.
Well,
Definitely.
not in my lifetime, but I've had a good time, I have to say. It's been very
Yeah.
interesting doing what I've been doing.
Well, I I'm seeing a quiet but quite fast change in social care, um, with more carers becoming independent and doing it their way
Yeah,
because they've lived it and they know what works. So I can see people challenging the system already. I feel quite optimistic, and I really hope that my conversation with you here today
yeah,
just adds another lens to the whole picture. I
yeah.
see it as a bit of a kaleidoscope, and you've just provided another section of that for all
Well,
of
that's
us on
cool.
how we should look at things from different
And
angles.
I think that's a very important part of the social care market, as it were. And
Yes.
I know what you're saying is true, and I've met a lot of these carers, and they talk about how shit it was working for the agencies, and how much they're enjoying being able to do the right things with people.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
understand words like shit, I can tell you.
Oh God, you're gonna get me in so much trouble. Anyway, John,
Yeah,
listen, thank you so much for joining me today.
it's my
What
pleasure.
you've shared reminds us that systems aren't abstract. They shape people's lives, they shape the experience of workers, families, and communities. They shape the emotional climate of organisations, and they shape whether services feel human, responsive, and purposeful, or fragmented, pressured, and disconnected from the people they exist to serve. Your work challenges us to look beyond targets, beyond scale, beyond command and control, and to design systems that actually work. Systems that flow, systems that make sense, systems that honour the people within them. For those listening, I invite you to reflect: where in your own work do you feel the system helping, and where do you feel it hindering? And what small shift could you make this week to bring more flow, more purpose, or more humanity into your corner of the world? This has been Continuing the Conversation with Sadie. Until next time, take gentle care of yourselves, of each other, and of the systems you're currently part of so you can keep reflecting, caring, and growing. Thank you.